guys for the first decade. You might be able to argue somebody else a little bit later on, but Tom Coughlin had a great model. We're going to strengthen ourselves and weaken another team in the division by taking a player away. And that's exactly what he did with Leon Searcy and several others for that matter.
I mean, look, Gary Walker, Deion Figures, Carnell Lake, go on down the line, took a lot of division guys and brought them here to Jacksonville. You know, as these players keep getting revealed, we've gone 25-14 now on Jaguars.com, and we'll continue till we get all the way up to number one. You look at the guys that have been revealed already, Leon, including yourself. A lot of these guys had some playing here in the 1990s. And look, that's not a bad thing necessarily, but that was 20 years ago. You look at you, Darius, Gary Walker, Kevin Hardy, Joel Schmingy. I mean, all these guys that have already been revealed were here in the glory days of the Jaguars in the 1990s. And the reason not why is because you're not going to have a whole lot of guys from, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, because the times here were not very good. So I like the fact that 25 years in, the Jaguars decided to do this, and the Jaguars are recognizing the guys that really paved the way for this franchise, as you said, basically from inception.
Well, not only that, I think the fans, this probably was when, in that era between 96 to 2000 is when probably the fans had the most fun. You know what I'm saying? We were winning a lot. We were winning a lot of games. Our worst record was actually in 96 because every year we were propelled. We got a little better. We got a little better. We got a little better. So the fan base was on that ride as well. I just couldn't imagine playing and having the fans go, we make that run in 96 and then we suck the next year. And then we suck the next year. Then we make a run. No, we kept we were on the uprise every single year. And that was the motivation. When we went on that 1996 run, it wasn't, we made that run, but the next year we were like, okay, we can be pretty good. Okay, so let's do it again. Okay, 97. All right, we had our first home playoff game. We beat let's do it again. And to the point where we got to the point where the only way, when we had to go on the road so much in the playoffs, you said, you know what? We're going to put ourselves in a position where the Super Bowl has to come through Jacksonville. And people, that was unheard of. I mean, we were a young franchise, and we're talking about having the road to the Super Bowl coming through Jacksonville, but we made it happen.
I think that's the reason, Joe, why people here still hate the Titans and hate the Oilers,
of course,
the Titans/Oiler organization. Because the AFC Championship game, that loss January 23rd, 2000, that basically killed what Leon's talking about. That part of Jaguar football died on that day when the Lamar Hunt Trophy was given out. And they've only had, they being the Jaguars, one home playoff game since. And you're talking essentially 20 years now.
Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl. Jacksonville didn't, so the bitterness is real and warranted. And they're easy to hate. There's nothing bad about that.
And I'm telling you something, when we have reunions and we come back, that's the number one thing we talk about.
Yeah.
Just think about all the victories we've had in Jacksonville from 96 to 2000 since I was here.
The Morton Anderson miss, the win in Denver.
We don't talk about the win in Buffalo. We don't talk about the win in Denver. We don't talk about Morton Anderson kick. We don't talk about we talk about, man, how do we let that time game slip from us?
And I bet it
8
does.
days prior, you beat the Dolphins by 55.
Hey, listen, we don't even talk about that.
Yeah.
The conversation is, man, what could I have done different?
Yeah, that's the hurt. That's the hurt inside as opposed to the joy. And the only way you can really start with the joy is if you get all the way to the top of the mountain and you got the ring. And so it does stink. But that half decade, you got me thinking, that half decade of 25 years of Jaguar football, most fruitful, most productive, and for the fans, it was that feeling that you were in it right from the jump, in it to win it every single year. It was a hell of a half decade. And I love the fact that there's still so many good memories that have come out of that. I think he should have been a little bit higher than 14.
Yeah.
But whatever, we'll just, hey, listen, you're part of the 25 because as we open it up and we think about it, just being one of the catalysts to success, it really doesn't matter where you drop, right?
No, it doesn't matter where you're ranked, although I agree with Joe. I thought 14.
I had him in I was at least.
I had him close to 10 or 11.
I was creating just a little wiggle room when I said, he's a top 12. He's a top dozen player in the franchise's history.
I want to reverse what I normally do here. What do we always talk about? We talk about the best players in Jaguar history. We almost talk about it being a shame that all the guys at the positions, Baselli and you, Searcy, McCardell and Smith, Fred Taylor, Brunell. Well, we always talk about, it's a shame that, nobody in the last 20 years has supplanted them as the best quarterback or best running back or best wide receiver or best offensive tackle. So I'm going to take the reverse of that for a little bit and appreciate what the Jaguars had here for that run you're talking about in the 90s. You had a Pro Bowl quarterback. You had 2 All-Pro offensive tackles. You had 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. You had a running back that probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
And deserved more Pro Bowls than
Bowls than he got. You had a defense led by Tony Brackens and Donovan Darius and Kevin Hardy. It was amazing how good that team was 96, 97, 98, and 99. And Leon, maybe, just maybe, the reason why no one in the last 20 years has supplanted a lot of those guys, including yourself, as the best position players in Jaguar history, is because you guys were just really damn good. And it's going to be really hard to supplant you guys for what you guys had in the late 90s.
Well, but here's the thing. The motivation by the organization is to find people to replace those guys that are so remembered. I mean, I know it's nostalgic. I know the fan base loves those guys back in the days when I was playing. But if this organization is going to go to the next level, you got to start finding the next Tony Baselli or the next Leon Searcy or the next Fred Taylor, Jimmy. You've got to start drafting guys or finding guys and free agents that could be in the conversation. Okay, you may not be able to replace them, but they got to be able in the conversation. They got to be, well, you know what, this guy, he's pretty good.
You said you wanted Jawan Taylor to be the next Leon Searcy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because if he's everything that's been advertised about him, as far as big, physical, user's hand, get after people, that's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, that's a replica of myself. So I want him to supplant me because that means the organization's going in the right direction.
Exactly. The closest that they've come is that defensive front. One of them was a big free agent signing in Calais Campbell, just like yourself, and then homegrown was Yannick Ngakoue, much later in the draft than Tony Baselli was, but still homegrown. So they've come close when it comes to that. Certainly you could argue linebackers here and there have come close, but they drafted a top Leonard Fournette was a top 5 pick. Freddie T was a top 10 pick. They drafted him to be the next Freddie T or maybe the next MJD's, not to keep him out of this conversation, but he was a top 10 pick, and they were trying to have that next Freddie T step up. And we just haven't seen any other position group do it. So I do hope that we get that we're going to have ultimately these guys that are going to say, Searcy was the best, and then came along Jawan Taylor. Look how damn good he is.
I want somebody, Joe, in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Wide receiver-wise, no one's in the conversation. With Jimmy and Keenan. Right, offensive tackle-wise, no one's in the conversation. And if they had kept A-Rob, with Baselli and Searcy.
Yeah, if they kept A-Rob, maybe it would turn into something, but no.
No one's in the conversation with Burnell at quarterback, and no one except MJD is in the conversation with Fred Taylor, and MJD hasn't played here in 6 or 7 years. So all these guys they're drafting, all the promise these guys have, you'd like to see it come to fruition long term so that 10 years from now we can say, Jawan Taylor, he was maybe as good as Leon Searcy.
All right, we had a great time up in Charlotte. Rolled in late last night, by the way, thanks to Beaver Chevrolet. Let me just give it out to Justin and Webby and my buddy Brett Morgan, who runs Beaver Chevrolet. Outstanding ride, the Chevy Traverse, just gliding down 3 interstates to Charlotte. It's not hard at all. You go 95, 26, 77, and you're right into the Queen City. So we had a great time, but really appreciate Beaver Chevrolet for setting us up with a beautiful ride. One of the last guys that we were able to talk to was your man Manny Diaz, Leon. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, just looking back at yesterday, and we were on throughout the day, but then we had a few guys come up a little bit later on. We're going to play Manny Diaz coming up here in just a few moments, and then also Shaq Quarterman a little bit later on, who's homegrown. But Manny, I think, may have won the day. One of the things he said, Leon, which I thought was pretty cool, he says, and actually I don't know if this is pretty cool or not. It was almost a little bit of an indictment of what was going on there. He said, when we get punched, we cannot drop our gloves. And he suggested that basically that was what was happening down there at the U here recently.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting that he said that because that was the same thing that John Beeson was saying when we interviewed him. He said that he didn't really think Miami was mentally tough enough. And that's almost unheard of because we built our program on mental toughness. I mean, we went through regiments to enhance your mental toughness. So to see some of that slip by the side was kind of disheartening, to be quite honest with you. But I like his analogy. I like his reference to the fact that when you get punched, you keep your hands up.
And take a punch and throw a
and
punch.
keep swinging.
Yeah.
You got to keep swinging.
And the question is, look, and I don't want to put words in the guy's mouth, so he didn't say this, but I'm asking you, John Beeson, Manny Diaz, the guys that have made light of that, is that a shot at Mark Richt?
That's what I think. All right, just listen to this because he does give credit to Mark Richt, but I'm telling you, and this is the case at a couple of other stops too. You can't help but say how good, we're going in a great direction without me thinking you weren't going in the right direction before. So here's our conversation Rick Ballou and I had with Manny Diaz, coach of the Canes.
We continue from Charlotte, the Atlantic Coast Conference meetings. Rick Ballou, Joe Cowart. Let's bring in the new head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, Manny Diaz. Manny, how you been?
I've been great. Good to see you again.
Man, it's good to see you. It's been a little while, and boy, what an interesting offseason for you, but you're all back. You're settled in Coral Gables.
We are, and we're different than everybody else here. We start in a week. Our report date's a week from today, and our first practice will be next Friday, and it's time to get going. It's time to light the candle.
You like it a little bit earlier? Of course, that opener against Florida before, a week before any other game in college football. Your feelings with that?
Well, look, if Miami and Florida are going to play, we could play Tuesday at 3 in the morning. It's going to be a big deal. You can't hide this game.
Right.
It's been obviously a focal point of our entire offseason program. And I'm still a believer, when we grew up, anytime two of the big three get together,
right,
it should showcase football in the state of Florida. And we remember a time when any game between any combination of the big three would have national championship implications. And so, I want to get back to that days. I'm sure Willie Taggart and Dan Mullen want to do the same thing where, if we should be the biggest game in the nation when any of the three of us get together, and this is a step towards that.
We're talking with Manny Diaz, coach of the Miami Hurricanes. As you're getting ready for this year, there's the excitement in your voice, the excitement from the players. It's very evident. How special is it for you to finally get this shot at the U?
I pinch myself every day. I mean, it's remarkable, but it's funny. I mean, after the first day and the madness of getting the job, you realize that you got a big job on your hands. And there's a lot to do, and you're really just getting this mentality of just getting to work. We've got a lot of problems to fix. I mean, it was all evident to see a year ago. I mean, and it would be foolish, every coach wants to get here and say we're working hard and everybody else and doing this. All of our problems are not fixed, but they're being addressed and we're aware of them. Chiefly, will we be a competitive football team every week? And if we can do that, I know we've got enough personnel that gives a chance to beat anybody on our schedule. If we're not competitive, we've also shown that we're not great at it. We can be beaten by anybody in our schedule. So I want to see a team that's got a backbone. I want to see a team that can punch. I want to see a team that can take a punch, and a team that's up for all 15 rounds, because that was not on our resume a year ago, and that above all things to me was the most disappointing thing.
Was Dan Enos bring to your offense, and whether it's Perry or Martell, just your early thought on what he's been able to install and your expectations offensively this year from Miami?
Well, there's a bunch of things that really make Dan special. Number one, I do think schematically he's a very intelligent guy. It's a quarterback-friendly offense. There's going to be somebody available for the quarterback to get the ball to. Presents a lot of questions for the defense. Makes it, gives a lot of opportunity for the defense to screw it up. There's two ways really to execute. You can try to out-execute somebody on every play. You can also do some things to make them screw it up, right? Where you can get some free yards because the guy makes a wrong decision, they make a wrong adjustment to a pre-snap movement, something like that. What I didn't know about Dan, I knew he was great work with the quarterbacks. I knew he was going to make all of our quarterbacks better. Watching him on the practice field and the way he demands accountability from all 11 players on offense, and he is an expert on every position on the field. So, having that one voice that if it's a wide receiver that he didn't run the right route, that he didn't run the route in the way that we need the route run, that was a jolt of energy to our offense, because that's really was sorely lacking, and that global accountability for all of our guys to play at a standard.
Manny Diaz, the new coach of the Miami Hurricanes. First game is August 24th. As Manny just said, that you guys are going to get back to practice early. What about the relationship as you go from Dan Enos to Dan Mullen, the relationship with Coach Mullen that you guys have had over the years? That certainly should be a nice little element to this game.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, not just Dan, there's a bunch of other guys, and even Scott Strickland, their AD, who I'd consider a friend. But Dan and I have always gotten along really well. I think we've seen the game in very similar ways. The 2 years that we were together at Mississippi State, we won 9 games both years, which I think Mississippi State's only done, maybe 6 times ever, 6 or 7 times in the history they've been playing football at State. So we've done good when we've been together, And so I know, forget about, again, X's and O's. I know he'll have his team ready to compete. And you could see the difference in what Florida played like a year ago to what they played like the year before. So it's our job to make sure that our guys are ready to match their energy and to match their passion and toughness.
Whether it's Bowden, Amato, Brown, I just think of all the coaches, Rick, that you've been around. I know that every coach, even a get-back coach, believes that they can do it a little bit better, a little bit differently. Have you given that overall thought as to, will your fingerprints still be on the defense, for example? You got to oversee the entire package now. How hard do you envision this being coming up in your rookie year?
Well, that's why you got to trust your great people, right? So I'm super fortunate defensively. I'm not going to be calling the defenses, but I brought in a guy like Blake Baker who, I was able to work with at Louisiana Tech. I've got a defensive staff of guys that were all at Miami, so they all know. The defensive staff is all on song. They know exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, what we're going to be. I'll be in that room every day, when we're doing our strategy stuff. I'm a big believer in that synergy wins, that staff alignment wins. Coaching is not fantasy football. You don't just add the best coaches, in theory, into a room and expect it to work. You got to have a great fit. So therefore, on offense, when I heard Dan Enos, our offensive line coach, work with Dan for 4 years. Our receivers coaches work with Dan. So same thing, we were able to hire some background so that they already knew, it's always said, it's like being in a band. They remember when we wrote the song, not just the notes of the song, why we chose that note in that occasion. And that to me, that helps.
When you think of, what has happened, like you said, it didn't end the way anybody planned. December of last year was not good. But for Mark Richt's part in this, and we had you on when you came through with the First Coast Canes. Leon Searcy's on the show with us, and Leon was a big supporter of you getting the job. It's a better place now that Mark Richt has been there. Would you agree with that facility?
100%. 100%. Not just, the facility is the obvious thing. It's a visual clue. But there's so many things behind the scenes that Mark Richt brought the University of Miami into where it needed to be currently to compete with the people we're expected to compete with. And the facility, my office every day is a reminder of all the things that Mark has done. No one loves UM more than Mark does. We still communicate. He actually texted me this morning. So we've got a great relationship. He wants to see us win, really badly. And he set us up to do that, and we're all very thankful for him for doing it.
How incredible is this for you? I know, born and raised in Miami, your dad was the mayor. I remember you when you were a student at Florida State, a frat brother with my brother, and heck, you spent 2 years on the other side with us as a member of the media. Then you get that opportunity to be a graduate assistant, and your career has really taken off. How humbling is this entire experience?
It's absolutely remarkable. The fact that I'm here, and what you think about along the way is all the different things, all the different people that come into your life to help advance you somewhere, that if without them that you wouldn't have gotten where you've gotten. I think back also of all the disappointments that happened in your life, something that you really, really wanted, and if you'd have gotten it, I wouldn't be here today. It's just crazy things like that. I remember being at ESPN, frustrated because I couldn't get hired at a TV station in Upper Vermont.
Right.
And if they'd have hired me, I wouldn't be sitting here as UM's coach today. So it's a great lesson in life. It just shows you there's, sort of God's hand behind all this. The successes, the disappointments, they're all moving you towards where you're supposed to be. And that's the only way I can justify where I am.
Yeah.
I think I'm where God wants me right now, and I've got a job to do now that I'm here.
You throw a rope around South Florida, you got plenty of talent there. There's no mistaking that. But do you like coming up to North Florida? Because you certainly have gotten some good guys. Touch on Quarterman and Mallory and some of those guys.
Yeah, Duval County's been great for us. There's just, the locker room at Miami, it's a special place. You got to have a special mentality to succeed in that locker room. And for whatever reason, the Duval County kids walk in there and they just get it. I don't know what it's like. We're sister cities. It's some home away from home. There's something about it where those kids all have great success. They're all very comfortable. When you talk about a guy like Shaq Quarterman, Mike Pickney, both Duval kids that have been there now for 4 years together. For me as a coach to be with them since coming in as mid-year enrollees out of 12th grade and be able to now to see them finish out their senior year, it's one of the most special things in my entire career. And then your Will Mallory's and Derek Smiths and so many other guys, Jeremiah Payton, who had a great spring for us. Duval has been great for us, and we expect it to continue to be great for us as well.
As we wrap things up, everyone's trying to track down Clemson. The entire nation is. But the coastal side is about as wide open as that I can ever remember. Just your thoughts going in. Very competitive division. Just about every quarterback returns in that division.
Right, and you've got three new head coaches in the division, which one who will bring a little bit of a shot in the arm. And I think it's a league where anybody can beat anybody. So what does that mean? Usually the team that's going to be most consistent is going to have a chance to do it. And, we've got a good home schedule. I think some of the teams that are kind of viewed as the powers have to come to Miami this year, and I think that's to our benefit. But like I said, if we just get Miami playing as good as we can play, I like our chances against anybody we play. First game of the year, last game of the year, whatever. But that's a challenge because, like I said, we were a ways away from that a year ago.
Leave Hurricane fans with an idea of what you think of the quarterback position as it sits right now, a week away from going into practice.
I think we have 3 guys that can do it. I think the spring game showed that all 3 guys can make plays at a high level. They all have the physical attributes. Now, who's the guy that has to have it? Now, I don't want to be the quarterback. Don't tell me you want to be the quarterback at Miami. Tell me that you literally have to be the quarterback. It is that compelling to you that you can't imagine not being that guy. And the guy that I think comes out and exudes that attitude over the first 2 weeks of fall camp will be our guy.
Interesting. We'll certainly monitor that. And right around the corner is Miami and Florida. They'll open up in Orlando. Great to hear from Manny Diaz, head coach of the U, with Rick Ballou and Joe Coward on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Good conversation yesterday, Leon. A quick thought hearing from your new head coach.
Or the biggest thing that Mandy talked about was competition and accountability, and and being mentally tough. I like hearing that because that's just old school Kane philosophy back then.
Is there any pressure on him in year one? I mean, he's not going to be fired, but I mean, is there? Does he have to? If they come out and look like garbage the first month or two, that's not going to be a good sign, I wouldn't think.
Well, yeah, there's pressure on any coach that comes to University of Miami, especially from the alumni base. I mean, we're going to keep the pressure on you. I don't care who you are. I mean, because I know the standard's been so long ago. I know the Florida and Florida State fans always tell us, oh, y'all history and all that, y'all history channel, all y'all talk about. But there was a certain standard that we set, and we didn't care who you were, coaching staff, administrative players. If you didn't keep the standard at Miami, then we're going to talk about you. Yes, there's pressure.
And that's definitely what he needs to get back and says maybe might have been missing here recently. And there's still plenty of conversation to come out of that one. We'll have Dave Campo, a former Miami assistant, former Dallas Cowboy head coach, and now in the Pac-12 coming up a little bit later on. So we'll definitely hit that topic with him. West Durham is coming up next, talking ACC ball.
This Open Championship update on 1010XL is brought to you by ATS Law Group and Performance Painting.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the British Open. I'm John Stashower. 3 years ago, Shane Lowry nearly won the U.S. Open at Oakmont, took a 4-shot lead to the final round, but had a 76, was runner-up to Dustin Johnson. Now at the Open Championship in Portrush, Lowry has sole possession of the lead, came out today with 6 birdies in his first 10 holes. He did bogey the 14th hole, but saved par on 15. Lowry is 9 under par, leads by 1 over American J.B. Holmes. He followed yesterday's 66 with a 68 today.
As soon as I came out here, I was hitting it really well. Before I even saw the golf course, I was hitting it really well, and I felt like I had a chance to have a good week. So, so far, so good.
Dylan Fratelli of South Africa is on the course now. He's moved to 7 under par. He's tied for third with 2 from England, Tommy Fleetwood and Lee Westwood, who's trying again at age 46 for his first major. He's had 18 top 10s in majors. Tiger Woods says all he wants to do now is go home. He missed the cut. With his British Open report, I'm John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
There's a lot of guilt around snacking, right? You want to eat better, but you want it to taste great too. You don't always get both, but you do with Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds, which are crazy good and better for you. They're thick and crunchy with awesome flavors and a big, bold taste. Plus, they're gluten-free, low sugar, cooked in sunflower oil, and keto-friendly. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds. It's the guilt-free snack you've been waiting for.
Visit your local racetrack today for your Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds.
We spend an average of 8 hours and 41 minutes a day facing screens. Laptops, smartphones, tablets, even digital refrigerators. But what are we really connected to? Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was created by Haggerty. For people who love cars.
Buckle up. You're in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios with XL Primetime on 1010XL. Find your new Honda at your 8 local Honda dealers.
Hacker here for First Coast Auto Sales and FirstCoastAuto.com. Guys, bad credit does not mean you have to settle when buying your next vehicle. Go see the auto and credit experts here in Jacksonville. That's my friends at First Coast Auto Sales. For decades, that company has been putting people with credit issues right here in Jacksonville in quality automobiles. They're on Cassett near I-10. They're also on Edgewood at the corner of Beaver and Edgewood. And their website, First Coast Auto, that's the number 1, stcoastauto.com. It's First Coast Auto Sales.
Hey, it's Leon Cersei here, and guess what? Wingstop is now delivering. Just download the app or go online at wingstop.com. Now you can have all your favorite mouth-watering flavors delivered right to your home or business. Wingstop just opened a 5th location too, near Regency. Find your location today, download the app, and click the delivery button. Wingstop.com.
General RV in Orange Park is saying thank you with our Friends and Family event. This Wednesday to Sunday, you'll save up to 50% off travel trailers, up to 50% off fifth wheels, even up to 50% off motorhomes. It's our way of saying thanks for being part of the General RV family. Plus, enjoy special offers from Keystone. It's the perfect time to start making memories and save up to 50%. Visit General RV in Orange Park on Wells Road off 295.
Hickett here for American Transmission, and if you're a business with a fleet of vehicles looking for bumper-to-bumper auto repair and service, go to the guys at JTA and the Florida Highway Patrol Trust with their vehicles. American Transmission. They provide below wholesale prices to all their fleet customers, and the price includes transmission replacement and pickup and delivery service. If your business needs bumper-to-bumper service, vehicle inspection, or just someone to handle transmission or engine replacement, call American Transmission now at 396-3766 or AmericanTransmission.com.
Word is out that Mavis Discount Tire has a huge selection of brand name tires at discount prices. But did you know that Mavis is also home to the $89 brake special? That's right, Mavis Discount Tire also offers discounted prices on brake services. Have front or rear premium quality Wagner brake pads installed for only $89.99. Yes, new brakes for $89.99 including labor. Come in today and save. Offer applies to most cars. Other fees may apply.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Southside, live local radio for Jacksonville. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
If you're facing surgery or taking medications for erectile dysfunction, there is an alternative solution, Core Wave Therapy. This is Dr. West, board-certified urologist with the McKeever Clinic. With Core Wave Therapy, you'll experience an ED solution with many benefits over traditional therapies such as surgery or pills. The procedures are short, painless, and have no downtime.
Call 355-6583 or visit McKeeverClinic.com. That's MCIVER. McKeever Clinic, innovators in urological care since 1921.
David Lane talks about his experience with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I've been active my whole life. I grew up here in Jacksonville, played a lot of athletic sports. Over time, my body kind of broke down and I wasn't able to perform some of the activities that I used to. I've had 4 different surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic. I think the staff at Southeast Orthopedic is second to none. The doctors are great. The therapy is second to none. It's been a great experience.
Get your body moving again with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Find out more at se-ortho.com.
Convenience stores are there for a reason, to be convenient. And when you're in a hurry to get to the party, drop into your local Dailies and pick up a cold case of Bud Light. Priced right and always cold. Bud Light in the cooler at your local Dailies convenience store. Remember, always drink responsibly.
The decision to put hardwoods on your floor actually isn't all that hard, because the Home Depot has Bruce Plano Marsh Oak solid hardwood flooring at a new low price of just $289 a square foot. It was $379. Your floors will give you the great look you want now and a boosted resale value later when it's time to sell your home. Today is the day for doing and for adding value with Bruce Plano hardwood flooring for just $289 a square foot. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Offer valid through August 4th.
Come out and honor the Jacksonville Business Journal's 50 fastest growing companies. This luncheon and networking opportunity takes place at the Lexington Hotel and Conference Center Thursday, July 25th. Go to jacksbusinessjournal.com for ticket information.
At 511 Tactical, we make purpose-built gear for life's most demanding missions. And we have an important question for you. Are you ready for your next mission? Whatever and wherever your next mission is, in the backwoods or the backyard, get geared up at 511 Tactical's incredible new store, now open in Jacksonville. 511 Tactical, performance gear with a tactical edge, trusted by professionals, first responders, and serious adventurers worldwide. And now available right here in Jacksonville at 511 Tactical's brand new store, located at 4600 Tropea Way in St. John's Town Center, next to Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from a wide selection of packs, bags, footwear, and our legendary 511 pants. If you love our pants, you should check out our shorts. Get to the new store for the gear you've been wanting. Hurry in. Make it your mission to check out the latest styles and gear at the brand new 511 Tactical in Jacksonville. Now open 511 Tactical in Jacksonville, 4600 Tropea Way in St. John's Town Center, next to Buffalo Wild Wings.
You've got an opinion. You're absolutely right. Share it on the 1010XL text line, built by Lifetime Enclosures.
You won't regret this.
Just as long as you're not driving on 295.
Yes, that's it.
641-1010. We saved you a seat. It's Lunch with Leon on 1010XL.
Brought to you by Wingstop.
12:38, 22 minutes in front of the 1 o'clock hour. Joe C., Ryan the Hacker Green, Big Leon Searcy named 14th all-time in the All-25 for the Jaguars in their 25-year history. We're back from the ACC kickoff. Thanks again to Beaver Chevrolet for hooking us up with a great ride as we enjoyed a trip to Charlotte, North Carolina, and now we're back. And I saw West Durham holding court, as usual, as one of the big wheels up there at the ACC. But West Durham was walking around with a boot because what type of tendon injury did you suffer, Wes?
Well, Leon will relate to this. I tore the peroneal tendon, which runs on the outside of the left foot, and I did it in a very dramatic fashion, picking up a golf ball that I thought was inbounds, but proven not to be mine. So, in fact, I did hit it in the water. But the silver lining to the story, Joe and Ryan, is that I went par to finish. And if my buddy John Bachman is listening, the venerable news anchor there in the Jacksonville market, Bachman, I shot 76 in what turned out to be my final round of my golf season. So there you go.
Leon, that's like you playing the final quarter of a game with you.
No, not the same. He had me to a golf. He's had me to a pickup golf ball.
But I made par, Leon. I knocked the ball in the water on two and a par five. I went back, dropped. Chip and putt, make 5. Come on now.
Well, the bottom line is we got Willis Reed at the Garden, we got Jack Youngblood in the NFL, and we got West Durham.
That's right.
On the golf course. That's what you got right there. Hey, Wes, obviously a lot about on the ACC, man. ACC kickoff in the books. It looks like it's Clemson's world, and everybody's living in it. Just a recap from you and your thoughts on what Clemson has done over the last, 5-year period. And my goodness, I look at their schedule, Wes. They look like they're going to be 17-point favorites in every game this year.
Well, they're going to be heavy favorites, and they should be. I mean, just like Alabama's going to be in the SEC, to be honest. I mean, there's really not a lot of difference at the top two guys, at least in my opinion. In fact, I think there's a gap to the next 3, and if you want to put Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, whatever order you want to subscribe to in those next 3, and then, there might be a gap, Ryan, to the next, 3 to 5 behind them. I mean, and that's just where we are right now in college football. But, we've had it at different increments. There's no doubt about that. I think Clemson talks in terms of 44. Other schools, Alabama's the same way. Other schools, I think, talk in terms of 22. But Clemson is legit. And even though they lost really, really talented guys up on that defensive front, they're going to replace them with really talented guys. And, it's funny, Mark Packer and I have talked on our SiriusXM show. Everybody knew who Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and Austin Bryant, some of those guys were, but now you're going to find out how good Xavier Thomas might be, or KJ Henry, or Niles Pinckney, and, the list kind of goes on and on when you get it rolling like the Tigers did.
Yeah, Wes, there's been a little back and forth between Alabama and Clemson. Clemson's offensive line said something about Alabama. Alabama said they weren't prepared for the championship game. Is it finally now is Clemson emerged to the point where they're getting under the SEC skin a bit?
Leon, I'll give you this. I think Clemson's been living rent-free in the Southeastern Conference all year long. I think, in all honesty. I mean, I don't know when Alabama lost to Ohio State in the CFP semifinal a couple of years ago, I don't recall the offseason being like this in terms of Ohio State. But Clemson did something. Now, the lack of preparation thing was interesting to me. Dylan Moses quote from Birmingham about, we thought Georgia was a better team. And then, John Simpson, I guess, came back, Joe, and told that group that they thought Notre Dame was better, right? I mean, so now all of a sudden we've got this thing, boiling pretty good, which, let's be honest, is good for college football if we get Clemson, Alabama again. But, yeah, I do believe Clemson has been under the skin of Alabama. I think Alabama got embarrassed in Santa Clara that night. But it also doesn't mean that down the road that, either school won't have a chance to redeem themselves.
Couple more from the ACC kickoff with our buddy Wes Durham. You can hear him, see him on all these different platforms, including SiriusXM, and then, of course, the ACC Network. He's also the play-by-play voice of the Atlanta Falcons, so we're definitely going to work in a question there. But and this is not defend your conference question, Wes, but
sure. Who
are the comers? Can Virginia do something? Who else would you identify that can take a big step forward this year?
Well, I think certainly Syracuse off 10 wins has a chance. I think that's number one. I think Virginia does have a chance, and I think, Joe, the reason they have a chance is because they bring back the second-best quarterback in the ACC in Bryce Perkins, and they bring back some really good players defensively. In fact, they've got, returning impactful players at all three levels defensively. And I'll be honest, I like their schedule. I mean, their schedule, they do get Pitt to open the season, who won the Coastal a year ago. They get a crack at Florida State in September, and then things kind of roll on from there for Virginia. And so I think the Cavaliers have a chance. I think what Dino Babers has done in 3 years at Syracuse is really, really impressive. But make no mistake, the ACC needs Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech. I mean, they need one of those brand names to kind of be in the mix in the month of November. If they could get Miami to beat the Gators in week one, get Florida State to roll Boise State up there in Jacksonville to start the campaign, that would do wonders for the collateral of the conference beyond the footprint of it for sure.
Wes, it was the first time in over 3 decades that Florida State did not make a bowl game. 5-7 a year ago. Willie Taggart going into year number 2 in Tallahassee hires Kendall Briles, and I think it's been interesting this entire offseason, primarily where we are in Jacksonville. There are some Florida State fans that'll tell you, Wes, well, last year was just a blip on the radar, that they're going to get back to it. There are other Florida State fans that say, wait a minute, maybe Willie Taggart isn't the guy. Where do you fall on Taggart and how the Seminoles have performed this year?
Well, I think I can understand both schools, to be honest with you, Brian. I mean, there were times last year where I thought they looked disorganized. Tom Luganville said on our show the last couple of days, he had the Florida game, and he thought they just looked completely asleep and didn't have any interest at all, that problems you normally have in week 1, they were having in week 13. I'm a wait-and-see guy, though. I think there is a degree of patience that has to be used in processes like this. I saw it play out at NC State. When Dave Dorn arrived, they didn't win a league game the first year. They, barely won home games, things like that. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. The Kendall Briles situation, if he comes in, draws up some really good plays, they get more consistent on defense, despite losing some productive guys, certainly like Brian Burns. I mean, look, Florida State can get right back in this, but you got to do it on a consistent basis. The bigger concern I have is, to be honest with you guys, are they going to be able to block people in the offensive line? I mean, pass protection's one thing, but you got Cam Akers, who's a really, really high-quality running back. You got to be able to give him the rock and let him do some things to make it easier for Blackman or whoever the quarterback ultimately ends up being down there. I think it'll be Blackman. You got playmakers on the perimeter. Tamari and Terry got off to a great start last year. But you got to be better in the offensive line. And let's be honest, that's not exclusive to Willie Taggart, Ryan. That was a problem Jimbo Fisher had in his last year. So something's got to get better there, and if Kendall Briles can find that elixir, that's a great thing for Florida State.
Yeah, hey, Wes, I'm a proud alumnus of the University of Miami. We got a brand-new head coach in Manny Diaz, new offensive coordinator in Dan Enos. Where do you see Miami? I never worry about the defense. Defense has always been on lock. What do you see in Miami this upcoming season offensively that's going to give them an opportunity to compete in the Coastal Division?
You want to take a rep in the offensive line for them?
I ran out of eligibility. How about that?
No, hey, we can always file for the fifth, right? Here's the deal. I think much like Florida State, Devon Donaldson's a pro in the offensive line. But they're talking about, potentially playing a true freshman over there, potentially playing a redshirt freshman. And then there is this, and look, I don't blame Manny Diaz for this. And Joe, I don't think he told you and Rick who he was going to start at quarterback, did he?
No.
Now, he didn't tell anybody who he was going to start at quarterback because, it could be N'Kosi Perry, could be Tate Martell, could be Jaron Williams. I mean, maybe they're going to start, could be, not anybody in particular. But again, I think you have to rely on the fact you're going to be good on the defensive side of the ball. But Dan Enos, who came over on that midnight train from Tuscaloosa, is a really, really good offensive football coach. Hell, he was a good head coach at Central Michigan. I'm excited to see what he can do because I think he'll make it good for Lorenzo Lingard to run the rock, Cameron Harris, however it shakes out at running back. I was impressed they brought a transfer in KJ Osborne. That means that kid's become a leader in their program very quickly as a grad transfer. I think Miami can get back quick. But now, the question for guys like you who see this stuff on a regular basis and deal with it every day is how much stock do you put into the first 60 minutes? If you're Miami, if you're Florida State, where do those first 60 minutes against Boise and against Florida fit in to the grand scheme of how your program is to be perceived at the end of the year? If you win the game, it's great. If you lose the game, you can't linger on it and let it cost you somewhere else along the way.
Let's spend the last couple of minutes with Wes Durham, part of the ACC Network coverage as they will launch August 27th. Of course, you hear him on Sirius XM. He's all over Atlanta and the play-by-play voice of the Falcons. You'll be rolling into our town late August, final preseason game, which we all know is not the best one to see.
Absolutely the best game of the year, isn't it?
But
let's be honest.
Maybe the tendon will be in full repair, so at least you can get something out of the trip down here.
Hey,
but
Jaguars will make a return trip up there before Christmas, right?
Yeah, late in the year, I think it come to Mercedes-Benz. That's right.
Yeah. So what do you think of your club coming in to this season, and then you could even spend a second or two on Nick Foles coming down here?
Well, first of all, I think that the NFC South, again, will be one of the better divisions in the league. So I think that Atlanta is primed to chase New Orleans if they can stay healthy. Obviously, drafted offensive lineman in the first round. They needed a Chris Lindstrom, a guy who's a mauler to play the right guard spot. Caleb McGarry, I think they're really excited about. And then they've done some other things too. Sheffield, the kid from Ohio State, had a really good mini camp. I think guys were really impressed with his athleticism. But let's be honest, they've got to return to health here. They've got to get, they got to get Keon O'Neal back. They got to get Ricardo Allen back. They need to get, Deion Jones, who just signed a new deal, back to full 100%. The same with Grady Jarrett, who missed a couple of games on a new deal now. But they've also got to be very good at getting to the quarterback. And they picked up the option, $12 million worth, on Vic Beasley, who had a very, very subpar season a year ago. They need Vic to bounce back in a big way. And, let's see this team kind of play itself out. Dan Quinn's going to run the defense himself. He's brought Dirk Cutter back in to run the offense. Mike Malarkey's come back in. So I think those are all awfully encouraging signs as the Falcons get ready to start camp on Monday. They're going to play 5 preseason games. I don't know how many of the big names will play in Week 1 and the Hall of Fame game. I certainly don't know how many of them will play in Jacksonville on the 29th. But I'm kind of excited to see what happens with this football team as it starts to move through the preseason and see where the spots are. But they're going to have to be very good. The schedule's hard. I mean, the AFC South is going to be an interesting division as well that you guys are in, and I'm curious to see Nick Foles in Jacksonville. I think that's a pretty heady move by Dave Caldwell. That guy's got a lot of good football left, and you know what? There are pieces around him. Fournette's got to stay healthy, and the defense needs to stay healthy too. I mean, you got some guys banged up last year, and your division's going to be good. Will it be the best? I don't know that on the AFC side, but you win that division, you're going to have a lot to work on.
Hey, Wes, as we wrap up here with you, I know you're ACC, but you're also, a lot of college football as well.
Sure.
Being where you are in Atlanta, there's a lot of talk from Kirby and the Georgia side about moving the Florida-Georgia game out of Jacksonville when that deal is up in 2021. What is the conversation in and around Atlanta about that?
The conversation is, I don't know that it's, and it kind of coincides, I think, in the big picture, guys, with where we're going with scheduling. Okay, the ACC and the SEC are the only two conferences playing 8 conference games, right? And Georgia and Florida are surrendering that game to a neutral site. And look, I understand the history of it, the tradition of it, but now they're going to be asked to sign up for bigger battles home and home in the non-conference, and we all see that train coming, right? I mean, the scheduling thing is going to ramp itself up no matter what league you're in. But if you're in the Power 5, you're going to have to kind of address it. And I think Georgia's done some things, and likewise Florida has too. But I think the feasibility, Jacksonville to me is what, Florida, Georgia is all about, okay? The 2 years it went back to campus, it was fine, but it wasn't what, Jacksonville is. And I think that's an important aspect of this. And, Kirby, he's seeing bigger picture type things and stuff like that. But I think it'd be awfully hard for Greg McGarity and likewise Scott Strickland to stand there and say, okay, we're going to move this game back to campus. I mean, given the support level there, given the money that comes from the game, at the end of the day, college athletics, and people sometimes don't like hearing this, college athletics is a big damn business now, fellas. Let's don't get that part twisted, right? And that Jacksonville game is a cash register full of money. So for Georgia and Florida to take that back, they'd have to have some things pretty well in hand to justify, the dollars and making that move, certainly from a historical perspective.
Yeah, the money's there, so you can't even point to that as a reason that you would pull it away. So, yeah, it would be nonsensical, that's for sure, but we'll see what happens. Hey, man, enjoy a little respite before it all gets crazy, and we will see you soon. Good luck on the heel in the tendon.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys. A pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me, okay?
All right.
Wes Durham here with us. Boy, he is one of the best in the business. Every time, Joe, we get him on, the guy's an encyclopedia, man. He is terrific at what he does.
And he bangs it out. And the play-by-play that he does for Atlanta, pretty dang good.
It is pretty damn good.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely a good one. And we got a good one coming up here in just a second. Dave Campo, former coach that Leon had to listen, in his ear all the time when he was an assistant down at the University of Miami, but then also onto the Dallas Cowboys. Now as part of the Southern Cal staff, he's getting ready to roll out to the left coast and get the practice rolling in the fall for the USC Trojans. So we'll say hello to Dave Campo coming up here in just a second. Thanks to Zaxby's, one of our sponsors today. You can roll through any of their locations and always get a delicious meal. I rolled through a Zaxby's on the way home last night from Charlotte. Just outstanding wings, chicken fingers, those crinkle cut fries, and those shakes, salads, you name it, they got it. Zaxby's on University Boulevard, east of I-95. St. John's Town Center, right next to Daly's, and Bartram Park off of Old St. Augustine Road. Check out Zaxby's when you're craving a good meal. We got Dave Campo in studio coming up next.
This Open Championship update on 1010XL is brought to you by ATS Law Group and Performance Painting.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the British Open, sponsored by Walgreens, trusted since 1901. I'm John Stashower. Ireland, Shane Lowry continues to have the sole possession of the lead at Portrush. Lowry's only bogey of the day came on the 14th hole. In each of the last 3 holes, he's had tough saves for par. He's on 18 now, remains 9 under and up 1 over American J.B. Holmes. And South Africa's Dylan Fratelli, who's still on the course. Jordan Spieth and Brooks Koepka are both -5, so Koepka seeking his 5th major, still in it and hoping the best is yet to come.
Yeah, I haven't made a putt all week, so I just need to just figure that out. If I can make some putts, I could very easily be, 10 under.
Tiger Woods finished +6. Tiger went almost 13 years without missing a cut at a major. It's now happened 7 times in the last 5 years. And Phil Mickelson at +9, he's going to miss it too. This will be the first major ever where Tiger and Phil both played and both missed the cut. With his British Open report, I'm John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
At Walgreens, we know that your day doesn't stop for diabetes. So when you've got places to go and people to see, count on Walgreens every day to get expert diabetes advice 24/7. Find all major brands of testing supplies like Walgreens True Metrics in-store and online. And download tools to help you stay on track, like our 5-star mobile app with Pill Reminder. At Walgreens, we are your diabetes go-to. Stop by and talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, trusted since 1901.
There's a lot of guilt around snacking, right? You want to eat better, but you want it to taste great too. You don't always get both, but you do with Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds, which are crazy good and better for you. They're thick and crunchy with awesome flavors and a big, bold taste. Plus, they're gluten-free, low sugar, cooked in sunflower oil, and keto-friendly. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds. It's the guilt-free snack you've been waiting for.
Visit your local Harris Teeter today for your Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds.
Baloo here for Key Buick GMC. Come in right now and test drive some of the best-selling crossovers in America. I'm talking about the Buick Envisions, the Buick Encore. Save up to 20% on all of them right now in stock. As always, the lifetime powertrain warranty is in effect. It's the only dealership in Jacksonville where you're going to get this. Visit them today, right across the street from Tinseltown on South Side or Gate, or go to keybuickgmc.com. See dealer for details.
When the wild calls, the Kubota RTV X1140 was built to answer. Proven diesel engine, heavy-duty suspension, and traction that grips like a mountain lion. It's all engineered around a roomy 4-seat cab that converts into an extra-long cargo bed, so you can prep for a trophy hunt and haul it home effortlessly. Find yours at your local Kubota dealer. Kubota, shape your world.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road, Jacksonville, and now also in McClenny.
The Truck Accident Law Firm is a national truck crash law firm based right here in Jacksonville, focused on making First Coast roads safer through zealous advocacy for families of those injured or killed by unsafe trucking. The Truck Accident Law Firm focuses exclusively on tractor-trailer, bus, and commercial vehicle crashes. If someone you know is involved in a serious crash with a tractor-trailer or commercial vehicle, contact your local truck crash specialists at truckcrashlaw.com. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Baloo here for Keystone Automotive Paint. Of course, they are the distributor for Axo Nobel Sickens. We do want to congratulate the customer of the month. That is Claude Nolan Cadillac Collision Repair Center. They're on Southside Boulevard in Quality Circle. Been a Sickens user now for more than 20 years. Folks, to get Sickens and all other automotive paint, there's only one distributor right here in Jacksonville. Of course, I'm talking about Keystone Automotive Paint.
Hey Jacksonville, Wally from Pro Drivers. If drivers are important to your business, please give us a chance to show you how we can help you drive better results. We didn't become the nation's highest rated provider of professional drivers by accident. Call me at 904-801-9451.
Mystic Cornhole Company builds the best high-quality custom boards right here in Jacksonville. Perfect for weddings, tailgating, your business, a day at the beach, and they make a great gift idea. See for yourself at mysticcornholecompany.com.
Stonecore, Jacksonville's #1 shop for pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces, now has the highest quality all-weather outdoor furniture. Many colors, many styles, and made in the USA. At Stonecore, Phillips Highway, 1 mile north of the Avenues Mall.
Instant Keys offers honest professional locksmith service for lost, broken, or spare keys. Call Instant Keys at 722-1111. Get dealer-level service in just minutes at a fraction of the cost. 722-1111.
If you're an experienced welder or pipe fitter, Local 234 Plumbers and Pipe Fitters is looking for you now. They provide competitive pay and great benefits that are no cost to you. That's $29.84 an hour, and with those benefits, you'll be earning $44 an hour. Join an organization with thousands of members that have the same goal as you, to get the job done right. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Shark fans, join us Saturday, July 20th for Halloween in July.
Presented by Snyder's Heating and Air Conditioning.
As the Sharks face the Massachusetts Pirates. Family 4-packs are on sale for only $94.
That's 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 Cokes, and 4 bags of chips.
Get ready for some spooky fun from our friends at the 13th floor. For tickets, call 904-621-0700
or visit our arena box office.
In charge of an upcoming golf outing, class reunion, or group trip? Get your whole team in new logo shirts and hats. You name it, Hardball does it.
Hardball
Hey, it's Tony from Tony D's Pizza. I just want to thank you for supporting us the past 12 years. I promise we're going to keep working hard for you. We're going to keep it fresh, with fresh ingredients and fresh ideas. Tony D's Pizza, Bay Meadows, and 295.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in the basement of a factory over 30 years ago. We had no heat and no air conditioning. Instead of customers, our office visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. Our office flooded often, and we used blankets as our office walls. We were broke and needed customers. Years later, I formed my fifth successful business, Patriot Software, which has attracted tens of thousands of customers with our easy accounting and payroll software used by accountants and non-accountants alike. Go to PatriotSoftware.com, use promo code RADIO, and get 2 months of accounting and payroll software free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
Accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Donna Murphy with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Josie and Rick Ballou were in Charlotte for the UA Local 234 Plumbers and Pipe Fitters presentation of 1010XL at ACC Kickoff. They met up with former Canes head coach Mark Richt, who gave his thoughts on current Miami head coach Manny Diaz.
I think they did a great thing by getting Manny. I think he's a great fit. If they had asked me who would you go get, I'd say go get Manny. I really would have, and I think Miami's going to do great with him.
Day 2 for the Open Championship. Shane Lowry no longer having a 2-shot lead. He is now tied for first. It's a 3-way tie at 8 under par, along with JB Holmes and Dylan Fratelli. Jordan Spieth had a good day shooting a 4 under. It puts him 5 under overall, tied with Brooks Koepka. Your time is 1:03. It's 93 degrees outside. Your time and temp are brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller. More XL Primetime with Lunch with Leon is next.
He was ferocious. And he was powerful. The stories of him in the weight room are legendary. And he wasn't a lifter. He was naturally strong. And that's how he got by. He got by with his power and his strength.
So you're a right tackle, that you've got to do right tackle things, which is run block and be physical. But you also have the quarterback's backside.
You had Baselli and Searcy bookend tackles. Those are the two best tackles in the NFL together, in my mind. From in the late 90s for sure.
Hey, first of all, I'd like to thank the Jacksonville Jaguars for including me in their top 25 as we celebrate 25 seasons of Jacksonville Jaguars football. I'm very humbled and I'm very appreciative for being on the list. I was here in Jacksonville for 4 years, and outstanding years, the glory years, and I'm just glad to be a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. I love the fans, I love the community, and I'm glad to be back home. And Duval.
What about that? What about that, Leon? That was the Jaguars.com. All 25. They have put it together. And Big Leon Searcy comes in at number 14. You heard from Frank Frangie, Pete Briscoe, John Osher,
Dan Hicken. Just loving on the big man this morning.
Yeah, I think I was on 5 hour energy when I did that.
Yeah. Well, let's say hello to one of your old coaches who immediately wanted to walk in and congratulate you. It was his birthday yesterday. You're number 14 today in the All 25 for the Jaguars. Let's welcome in Dave Campo, former coach at Miami, former Dallas Cowboy head coach, now working on the defensive side, analyst consultant, you might say, out at Southern Cal. Coach, welcome in.
Well, thank you very much. I do want to start it out by congratulating Leon. Listen, to play right tackle in the National Football League, I was around Eric Williams for a long time.
E-Dub.
And I thought he was one of the toughest, meanest, roughest guys I was around. And to play that position, you have to be, and that's what Leon was. And I would have picked you higher than 14th, Leon. I'll tell you right now.
It's all good. And listen, back in the day, me and E-Dub, every year we battled back and forth, best right tackle in the league.
Correct.
And I used to watch film on him, and because he had that one particular punch that he told me about. It was called the Cobra. he would punch you and headbutt you at the same time.
Absolutely.
He said that's how he stuck Reggie White. He said
I was just going to say.
Yes.
I was just going to say he could handle Reggie White, and there were not a lot of guys around that could handle Reggie White.
Absolutely right.
That's high praise. It really is. So we're going to go around the room, talk about a bunch of different things. But Dave Campo, with all those years of experience, and now part of the Pac-12, we're going to focus in on that a little bit as we go along today. But let's at least start with what you thought of new Miami Hurricane head coach Manny Diaz. You were listening to the conversation as you were coming in.
Well, first of all, I thought it was a great pick from the very beginning, simply because we got some – when I was there, which is a long time ago, but we got some really good players from northern Florida. But in reality – and Leon was one of them. But really the reality is you have got to keep the players home in the Miami area. And Manny Diaz has that ability. He's from there. He's got a lot of ties there. And from my experience from college recruiting, it's about the people that are around that area. In other words – you better have a good relationship with the head coaches. You better be part of that group of high school coaches if you're going to get the good recruits. And I think he has that ability. So I think it's a really good pick.
It's not every day you get to talk to a man with 50 years coaching experience in the world of football, high school, collegiately, and professionally, a former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Yet when Coach Dave Campo walked in, I told him the first thing when I think of Dave Campo, you were on Hard Knocks when the Dallas Cowboys were on Hard Knocks. Because I remember watching every episode of Hard Knocks when Dave Campo was there as the head coach of Dallas. Hard Knocks about to start back up. Leon, you were actually, the Ravens in 2001 were on Hard Knocks. I know you got injured, but you were around that as well. It's amazing, Coach, what I'm sure football media was like when you started in the 70s compared to what it's like today. The 24-hour news cycle in Hard Knocks is certainly a part of the new media in football today.
Well, I love all you guys. I love all you media guys. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard on the coaches because, there's so much out there, social media, all the following today, which is great because it built the game. I mean, the game is different today than it was then. It's the thing, now. But at the same time, I loved Hard Knocks except when Pac-Man pulled my pants down. I wanted, yeah. And other than that, I just told him we were lucky that normally I go commando, but I didn't that particular day. And there were a lot of fans in the stands. That was a fun time. But it was good. It was a little bit of a. We talked about it earlier. It was a little bit of a grind, for the no privacy, that type of thing. But I think the one thing about the Cowboys was they were used to being in the spotlight. So I think that helped us a little bit.
Yeah, Coach, I always wanted to ask you this question. I knew the philosophy at the University of Miami, the winning mentality at University of Miami. But when y'all went the first year y'all went to Dallas, y'all went 1-15. I know that had to be a struggle. How were y'all able, and just 3 years later, y'all in the Super Bowl and winning it. How were y'all able to turn things around so quickly in Dallas?
Well, there were a number of things, Leon. That's a great question. First of all, I'm a big believer in the people that you're surrounded with. In other words, the head coach is the leader, but you've got to have guys that are really good people and good friends on that coaching staff. And we had that. We had 6 guys that came in from Miami with Jimmy. Plus we had the Rich Dalrymple, the public relations director. Bruce Mays, who was a associate athletic director, was the operations guy. We brought a lot of guys in there. And the first year, I remember this strongly because we were grinding hard, and it wasn't going to happen. You're 1-15. That's a rough year. But at the end of the year, Miami was playing in the national championship game, and we had a party at Jimmy's house, and we were cheering that game like we were still there. In other words, that's how tight cool. we were. And we knew that it was a matter of time, but in all reality, Plan B free agency is what gave us the chance to turn it around. You had the Herschel Walker trade, which was big, and Jimmy kind of hoodwinked them on that because they had guys tied to draft picks, and all Jimmy really wanted was the draft picks. So Minnesota thought we were going to keep the players because we were so bad. But Jimmy didn't expect to keep any of the players that he brought in that trade. He wanted the draft picks associated with them. So that was one thing. He made a great move bringing in Steve Walsh, because when he brought in Steve Walsh, in the supplemental draft. The next year, he got a couple of big draft picks for him going to New Orleans. And then plan B, we actually got, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 starters in the Super Bowl off of the first plan B group. Novacek, guys like that. I can name Vincent Smith, deep outside linebacker, played for Pittsburgh. So that was really the turning point, in my opinion. And then I just think we were, we expected to win, and we pushed it, and we were fortunate.
And y'all kept those 110s, too.
Oh, yeah. We had that discussion the last time.
Those would be the sprints that Leon's talking
about. I'm glad I
about.
wasn't doing it. I guarantee you that.
We're going to keep Dave Campo around for a couple segments and talk about all sorts of different things. But stay on this subject real quick before we hit our first break, because the fact that you celebrated that national championship for Miami basically is telling me on the outside looking in that you knew you recruited good players, and then knowing that what Leon's question was, you could take the exact same approach to Dallas because you could identify good players.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think that was one of the reasons that Jimmy got the job because, everywhere he went, he had the mentality of knowing the players. That was the best thing he did out of, he wasn't the greatest football mind guy, but he was a mind guy. He knew every player, and he knew how to push the buttons, and I think that's what really made him the best. And he did the same thing with the coaching staff. If there wasn't a crisis, he created it.
Yeah.
Just
Out of necessity.
to keep everybody on their toes.
Yeah, what was it, old Hearst back in the day. You provide the pictures, I'll provide the war. I'll make something out of it. All right, we got Dave Campo hanging out with us for a little bit. It's XL Primetime. Joe C., Ryan the Hacker Green, Big Leon Searcy for another seg with Coach Campo. It is a Friday. Hope you're enjoying it.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL.
Oh, yes, we can. And yes, we will. Because we've got
1010XL.
Hacker here for my friends at GT Distributors. Hey, sportsmen, shooting enthusiasts, and public safety professionals, your one-stop shop for all your public safety and tactical needs? Well, it's at GT Distributors. That's because they've been America's public safety specialists for over 45 years, and they provide the highest level of products and services to our country's law enforcement. Guys, when you buy from GT, that means you're buying from a company that is passionate about what they do, and that passion means more expertise and a better buying experience for you, the valued customer. Go check them out online, gtdist.com, for all the exciting new additions, or go see them in person, 2285 Kingsley Avenue, Suite A2 in Orange Park. Your one-stop shop for all your sporting, shooting, and public safety needs is at America's Public Safety Specialists. Go see them today. It's GT Distributors.
Now, the Florida Gator Report on 1010XL, brought to you by Darley's Plumbing.
The 2019 SEC Media Days are now in the books, and Florida was picked to finish second in the SEC East behind Georgia, with 7 Gators selected to all SEC teams. Cornerback C.J. Henderson and defensive end Jabari Zuniga made the first team, running back LaMichael Pirine, linebacker David Reese the second, and punter Tommy Townsend made the second team, while kicker Evan McPherson was the lone Gator on the third team. The media selected Alabama to defeat Georgia in a rematch of the SEC championship game.
Hi, I'm Ellen Darley with Darley's Plumbing. When you use Darley's for any plumbing work, you're getting the service, expertise, and reputation of the Darley's family name. We do it all, from leaky faucets and toilet repairs to whole house plumbing remodels, slab leaks, and sewer lines. At Darley's, our team is here to fix your plumbing issues right the first time. That's why we say Darley's is where quality counts. Visit us online at darleysplumbing.com.
Gallon of gas, $2.59. Oil change, $19.99. A new Toyota Camry, $249 per month. A new Chevy Equinox, $169 per month.
Having an easy and enjoyable car buying experience with someone you trust, that's our wow advantage. It's simple. We give you what others won't. Come see why our family at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet continues to grow every day. We're here to wow you.
Hey, Hicken here. We've all seen those homes on TV with an amazing backyard entertaining area with a cozy patio and fire pit and an outdoor kitchen fit for a king. You don't need to be rich to have that. You just got to know who to call. And that who? Construction Solutions and Supply in Jacksonville. They'll help you turn your outdoor living space into an entertaining paradise with a custom plan you can actually afford. You dream it, they build it, and you'll have the perfect backyard getaway. See for yourself at ConstructionSolutionsFlorida.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists helps you be the best when you play and brings you
The best of Into the Night Replay.
You know what Tennessee is? Tennessee is Rosie O'Donnell on New Year's Eve. She's told everyone she's going to go on a diet. You know what the end result is with old Rosie? She adds about another 5 to 7 pounds to her body.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
Marine Max Jacksonville Beach and Grady White Boats are both ready to get you on the water today. Grady White is celebrating 60 years of providing the ultimate boat ownership experience. Whether you are a hardcore fisherman or just want to enjoy cruising Northeast Florida waters, Grady White has 27 models from 18 to 45 feet to choose from. Visit Marine Max Jacksonville Beach, marinemax.com/Jacksonville.
This is the Mangler. By now you've heard my commercial for Advanced Disposal and our need for CDL drivers. As a result, we've added some good drivers to our team. However, we still have some positions to fill. We're looking for CDL drivers in Northeast Florida, especially in Clay County, St. Johns County, and yes, Duval! Come be a starter on our team. Earn a solid wage and get full benefits. Head to our website, advanceddisposal.com/careers, and get signed up today. That's advanceddisposal.com/careers.
Equal opportunity employer.
Baloo here for the Blue Crab Crab House, once again voted the #1 crab shack in Northeast Florida. What about Sundays over there? You kidding me? $1.95 Bloody Marys, mimosas as well, up until 5 o'clock. Alex always playing live music right there on the deck. The best seafood in Jacksonville, the Blue Crab Crab House. They've been in Jacksonville for 23 years, right there on Julington Creek Road in San Jose. I'll see you at the Blue Crab Crab House.
25 years, countless memories. Share your favorite fan moments with us after 25 years of franchise history. Call 904-201-3663 and leave a brief message retelling your favorite fan moment. The best will air on 1010XL, presented by House of Lamps and Shades and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. 25 years. We saved you a seat. It's Lunch with Leon on 1010XL.
brought to you by Wingstop.
Good song choice, JJ. You know what you're doing. Dave Campo. Doesn't he look like Beverly Hills, sunglasses, all that stuff? Weezer kicking it out. Heck yeah. Dave Campo, our guest for a couple segments, former Dallas Cowboy head coach, longtime NFL coach, and also you go through the years that he's been around. Hacker was saying it started in 1971, and Dave goes, well, actually, I got a year of high school in before that in 1970. So it's amazing how long the career has lasted, and he is part of the defensive consultant battery with Southern Cal under Coach Clay Helton. So we're going to get to that coming up in just a second. But we were talking about, just what it took for you to get Dallas, or for the coaching staff to get Dallas going when you guys first left Miami.
Well, I mentioned earlier that we had 6 coaches go with us from the University of Miami, plus a lot of the fringe guys as well. In 1991, which is the year that it really got going, we went 7-9 in 90, and then 11-5 and won the first playoff game against the Bears in 91. But in the training camp in 91, in the old days, the training camp was 6-7 weeks long, 2-a-days. It wasn't the way they go through. This is a country club operation they got going now, but in those days it was long. So sometimes we had days off during training camp. Well, one day we get to training out there, and it's about 100 degrees, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning in Austin. And we had all our clothes on, the whole works. Jimmy calls them all up, and he says, okay, guys, take all your gear off, keep your grays on. We're going to Barton Springs. We get on a bus, and he takes us swimming Okay? Now, I just watched that video. We have a video of that whole operation. I'm talking about Emmitt Smith and Troy and all these guys in the water. And it brought back so many memories of how tight that group was, and especially the coaching staff. A lot of it was the coaching staff, guys laughing with each other and throwing water at each other, pushing guys in, guys doing somersaults and stuff off the diving board and all these different things. And the first three guys, this is kind of a sad part of it, the first three guys that showed on the video were guys that had come with us.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Brodsky passed away from Miami. He was Emmitt Smith.
Wow.
Because he is the one that made the decision that we would take an Emmitt Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second one was Hubbard Alexander, the receiver coach. He was Michael Irvin. You know, he made Michael Irvin better than Michael Irvin actually was, because he wouldn't listen to him on the sidelines, but he'd listen to him everywhere else. And then the third one was Joe Avisano, who has passed away.
Yeah.
Those were the first three guys. And when I'm watching the tape, when they came on the picture, I actually got tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
That's what we had when we came
How
from
close.
there. And then you add Butch Davis to it,
Yep.
myself, and Dave Wanstead.
Mm-hmm. Lonnie.
And that's the six guys from. And out of that group, three of us were head coaches in the NFL.
It does. That's
So-
a heck of staff.
No, there's no question. I mean, look, that's NFL royalty, college football. A lot of guys went on to do very good things in the world of football. Now, you, Dave, you mentioned Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman. You were around Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, Charles Haley. I mean, you were around and coached some of the best players that have ever played in the National Football League. I mean, what was it like to be around those guys primarily when you were in that run of those 3 Super Bowls in 4 years?
Well, you know, the fun thing about it, obviously, was coming into it, we had a feeling that we knew what to expect because we felt we had a professional football team at Miami. You know, we had a lot of guys drafted over that period.
That doesn't
of time.
mean they were getting paid, people. That
No,
doesn't
no,
mean
no. That, please don't get. We weren't even getting paid at that time. But you know, being around guys that are goats is a great experience because you learn a lot from just the way they operate. I'll take. First of all, if I was going to pick a team and start today, I'd go with Michael Irvin because Michael Irvin was the supreme team player, and without question. But Emmitt lasted as long as he did as a running back because he knew how to take care of himself. And from the time that I watched him during that period of time, every guy I dealt with, I used him as an example of a running back only lasts 4 or 5 years in the NFL because they're getting hit all the time. He lasted a long time because he
had
knew
that
what
lean,
to do.
couldn't he? He could just like absorb a hit better than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. But he also knew how to train.
Yeah.
You know, he knew how to keep his body right and those kind of things. So when you're around those guys, Deion Sanders, a quick story on Deion Sanders. Deion, when he hurt his toe, which ultimately ended his career. But we're at Arizona, and we're not supposed to lose to Arizona, and we're out. He's out. He got hurt in that game. He's sitting on the sidelines, and they're starting to drive the final drive to win the game in Arizona. He runs on the field himself. Let me take that back. He limped on the field himself, got on the field, and we stopped him on the drive, but the whole drive, not one ball was thrown at Deion Sanders. And I guarantee you that they saw that he was hurt, but they didn't fool with him.
Still did.
And those are the kind of guys you want to be around. Those are champion guys, period.
Yeah, you don't miss for prime time. Coach, we were sitting here during the break, and I never told you my almost a Dallas Cowboy story. Well, Coach, in 1992, the draft came on at 12 o'clock. It wasn't prime time like it is now. It was 12 o'clock. So me and my dad are sitting down at the house. 10:30, the phone rings. I get a phone call. I knew exactly who it was. Leon. Hey, Coach Johnson, how you doing? How you feeling? He asked me all these questions about how I'm feeling. He said, how you feel about being a Dallas Cowboy? I said, sure, Coach. I'll be a Cowboy. Typical Jimmy. What do you think first thing he asked me? Are you going to hold out? I was like, no, Coach. I ain't gonna, if we draft there, are you going to hold out? I said, no, Coach. He said, well, we're going to make sure of that. We got a representative that just landed and don't land on your way to your house. I said, what? So a representative shows up to my house, Coach, and the draft is going on, and the representative of the Cowboys is in the back of my den with my agent negotiating my contract. So I'm chilling. Draft day is a breeze for me. I said, I'm going to be a Cowboy. Because you just said that Jimmy went after Miami guys. So
Absolutely.
So when the Steelers eventually picked me the 11th pick overall, I think the Cowboys had the 17th pick then.
Correct.
I asked the Cowboy guy that was leaving, he had my jersey that had Cersei on it. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, man, before you leave, let me get that jersey. And the guy turns around, Coach. The Cowboy representative says, understand this, son. You're a Steeler now. He said, a Cowboy never give a Steeler nothing.
And walked out with that jersey.
And walked out with the jersey, Coach. I'm still looking for that guy.
Well, we used to send the guys out at that time, scouts, and they would sit there and kind of see. Not only was it for negotiation, but it was also to see who was making the phone calls to the guys. Because you call ahead of time, say, "Yeah, you okay? Nothing's happened to you. Are you getting any calls for anybody?" Because you wanted to know. What the interest is, and that happened with Emmitt Smith because we had to jump the Giants to get Emmitt. We jumped one spot.
16th, is that where?
I think we went to 17 from 19. And we had to do it because we knew the Giants were going to take him, and the other guy that we had was Hampton, the running back. He would have been next. We'd have taken him if we couldn't make the trade. And he ended up going to the Giants with that next pick.
We're talking with former Dallas Cowboy head coach Dave Campo, heading down to sunny Southern California. We'll get into the Southern Cal talk in just a minute. But, it really is so cool when you start going down memory lane with the NFL, and then you start talking about, like Hacker posed the question earlier, the best athletes. And you easily can identify those guys. And I know that most of the time we say athletes of today are better than athletes of the 90s, but you might have had a rare bunch that could go toe-to-toe with anybody.
Well, we did have a great group. I mean, being around those guys, but, they're all over. I mean, I'm talking about not the greatest of all time, but 1% of college football players play pro football. So you're talking about the best of the best. When I was here with Rashean Mathis, I would have taken Rashean Mathis over a bunch of guys we had in
Supreme
Dallas.
Athlete.
Just because of the type of work ethic he had and the way he played the game, he's one of my favorite guys. So being around just NFL players in general is a tremendous factor. But, you talk about athletes of today, they are bigger, faster, stronger. When you're standing on those sidelines and you really
it
get
even
the
pops
feeling.
for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, see, that's good.
And
That's
in the
telling.
grand scheme of things, Coach, 20, 25 years, it's not that long a period of time, but the way the game has changed, you talk about how training camp was maybe 25 years ago to how it is today. All the rule changes. You've been a D coordinator, a defensive back coach, obviously a head coach, but a lot on the defensive side as well in your assistant years. The defense is at such a disadvantage now in the NFL. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't touch the receiver. If you hit them too hard, they're going to throw a flag, whether it's clean or not. I mean, what's your thought on the way the game has changed primarily in the offense's favor?
Well, I really think, the old adage, adage, whatever it is, I'm not an English major, but is that defenses win championships, but offenses bring the people to the stadium.
Buy the tickets. Yeah.
And the thing that would really hurt the NFL, obviously, would be not much scoring. In college football, let me tell you, college football has jumped up a ton with this spread offense and all the scoring that's going on because people like that. It's exciting. So the NFL has to make some rule changes every year because the defensive guys are getting bigger, faster, stronger, and you got guys like Ramsey over here and guys that, could play corner and then go over and play receiver if he had to. Those kind of guys make it very difficult, to score points. And the NFL, that's why, to be honest with you, that's why they keep the field goal in the game because I hate field goals, but the offense the league loves them because they're point scorers, score points. And I think that's the key.
I think the gamblers love it too because it moves that point spread here or there
There you
just
go.
a little bit. All right, before Leon leaves, because he's 14th, and you 3 seasons you're with the Jaguars, coaching the secondary. Of those 3 years, those are 2 playoff years. And when you mentioned Rashean, I'm thinking to myself, that group back there was pretty good too. A story or two from the Jaguars perspective that may jump out at you for that little
Well, Donovan
period?
Darius was right behind Leon.
yeah.
I think, what was Donovan?
He was
17 or
16.
Yeah,
16.
Yeah.
We had some good players. Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Peterson.
Extremely good.
Stroud and Henderson will
Stroud,
be
Henderson.
on the list.
I mean, we had, oh gosh, I'm getting old. Outside linebacker
Darryl
came
Smith.
to the Cowboys.
We had Kevin Hardy.
Aiken
Adele.
Aiken
as
Adele.
well.
I just saw Aiken the other day, and there was another young man. It just was with him recently, linebacker.
Went from Jacksonville to Dallas. Justin Durant.
Yeah.
We had guys that could run and hit, and we had Drew, running back. Taylor. I mean, there were good players here during that period of time. David Garrard. They were good guys.
When you look at the history of the Jaguars, 25 years, that Garrard run in Pittsburgh in 07 is still one of the biggest plays in Jaguar history.
And, he tried to run it the play before. I was standing on the sidelines. I was on the sidelines here while I was at Jacksonville. And I heard the conversation with David and about, I want to run the draw.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3rd and 2. And Dirk Cutter, that was his first year. And Dirk said, well, we got 4th down. I want to throw it here. So Jack said, well, go ahead and throw it. Well, they called an easy, quick pass, but they jumped all over it, and he threw it away. I think he did it on purpose. He wanted to run the draw. I think he knew that was the right play. Sometimes you got to listen to those guys on the field. They're the ones that are out there. And then, of course, that was a great run.
I'm just happy the referee kept his flag in his pocket.
Yeah, there was a
Khalif
holding.
Barnes.
Yeah. There was a holding.
Yikes with that holding.
Listen, I remember that like it's just, isn't that unbelievable that I can remember that from years back?
But it's a great story because you're probably right. The player knows the play that he can make.
Absolutely.
And ultimately was going to make sure he was going to make it. All right, we're going to let Leon loose. You're going to stick around for another segment. We'll talk Southern Cal. Congratulations again, Leon.
I appreciate it.
It's a deserving honor.
Good seeing you, Coach. Good seeing you.
Same here, Leon. You know that.
And we can see the smile on his face. It's much appreciated being among the All-25.
Yeah.
Good on you, bro.
No question.
Congrats, Leon.
All right, you have a great weekend.
All right, buddy. Look more with Dave Campo coming up. We got a conversation with Tim Hasselbeck in the 2 o'clock hour, talking about the Jaguars' chances going forward with Nick Foles, and then also Shaq Quarterman played Oak Leaf High School football here, and then now starring at the University of Miami. That's all ahead on XL Primetime.
This Open Championship update on 1010XL is brought to you by ATS Law Group and Performance Painting.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the British Open, sponsored by the NFL. NFL.com Fantasy is back. Sign up now at NFL.com/fantasy. I'm John Stashower. Shane Lowry is from not Northern Ireland, but Ireland. He had a 2-shot lead in the second round at Portrush, but 2 bogeys sandwiched around 3 tough par saves, and Lowry came in at 8 under par. He's tied for the lead with American J.B. Holmes. No Brits won the Open since Nick Faldo in 1992. 3 have chances, including Tommy Fleetwood.
It really is important not to look at how much I want to win the Open, how much I want that, and how much I can picture myself with the Claret Jug. It's about getting up tomorrow, warming up, first tee shot, and that's as far as we can go for now.
Fleetwood is 7 under, so is Lee Westwood.